Okay, so we're back this morning with part 2 of the homemade screw chuck. What I did yesterday was grabbed a block of wood, counter bored a hole in the back side of the block, deep enough to accept the head of a lag screw. It's a 1/4 inch lag screw, I think, or maybe 3/16. Epoxied it in, had to let it set overnight so it was cured fully. So this morning I came down here and I put it on the headstock and gave it a spin. And I could see right away that it wasn't truly centered at the point. It looks real good back up here at the block, as far as I can tell. So hopefully we were good with that. And all I did to adjust it was I put my tool rest in the banjo, pushed it up close, and just spin the headstock by hand. And just find the spot that's out of round and just take a hammer and give it a tap or two to move it back into plane. It's real close now. So what we're going to do is now that we've got that trued back up, or this screw point running pretty close, we're going to go ahead. I took a maple block. I just got a maple block. It's, I don't know, 3.5, 4 inches long. And I went over to the drill press and I drilled a 3/16 hole, as that's what the diameter, the minor diameter of the lag screw is. And I'm just going to screw this on. It's important to make sure, and I think it's going to be critical to the success of the project, all in all, is to make sure that both the surface of the block is square and is going to sit down all the way onto the face of the block here, and that this surface here is square. I don't know if this is going to provide enough support, you know, especially when you hang a 6-inch handle blank out there. But you can see I've screwed that all the way down onto the headstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to fire up the lathe. I'm going to knock just these corners off of this piece of poplar here, and I'm going to take a roughing gouge and I'm going to get rid of the corners on this spindle. I've screwed it all the way down so it seats hard and flush. So, because your support comes from the two flat surfaces together. So we're going to see how it goes. I'm just going to use a little 1/2-inch bowl gouge to knock the corners off of the poplar block. Then I'm going to bring in my 3/4-inch spindle roughing gouge, which is the big U. This is spindle roughing gouge, big U shape on it. The difference between a spindle roughing gouge and a bowl gouge is a spindle roughing gouge has a tang. It's just the thickness of whatever the gouge is. It's a piece of flat stock that's part of this, and it's shoved down into this handle. Not acceptable at all for doing bowls, where a bowl gouge is the same diameter as the shaft stuffed down into the handle. Big difference between the two tools, and you never use a spindle roughing gouge on bowls. Everybody knows that. Okay. Knock the corners off of the poplar block. Now I'm bringing in the tailstock. to round what would be the handle blank. Other thing I want to point out, because you have so much mass out here, this piece is relatively short at 4 inches. I think for your handle stock, you're probably going to be using somewhere around a 6-inch piece and end up with an inch or so of waste at the end. You're more than likely going to get some chatter when you're out here working on the end. It's just the nature of the beast. So light cuts are the rule. You know, not big heavy cuts, and you'll be able to tell that as you get into turning it. Okay, so at this point, I've got it round enough to suffice for this demo. And I'm going to grab a parting tool, and I'm going to face the end of this block off to make sure that it's flat and square to the axis of rotation. So now, you know, with this block was about 2 inches. It's about 1.5 inches square, I guess. 1 3/4 square. It's really stable on here. I didn't detect any kind of chatter or anything when I was roughing it down, so you may want to consider that if you're having trouble with 1.5 inch stock, maybe getting a little bit bigger stock. But so far, I've not detected any trouble with that. Mind you, I only have 3 screws into the mounting of the poplar block onto the faceplates. So now that I've got this faced off and I know it's square to the world with the way everything is running, I'm just going to take a little spindle gouge and I'm just going to put a little tiny dimple in there for the drill bit to locate on correctly. Doesn't take much to make the dimple. All you want to do is give that the point of this bit, being that it's a brad point bit, it's got a really sharp tip on it. So I got to find my bit. As if I didn't lose it somewhere. Okay, found my bit. Just going to chuck it up into my Jacob's chuck in my tailstock. Bring the tailstock up into play. Now I'm going to drill this about 1 inch or 1.5 inches deep. I'm going to turn my speed down to about 500 RPM. Bring this up I can see already, trying to get it started, that it wants to jump. I can see that wobble in there already, so I need to make a little better, bit better dimple in there to get it going right. Okay, now I can see when I started that point into the wood, it's not bouncing at all. So, and I did bump my speed up pretty fast. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this right now. Drill them back out, clear the chips a little bit. Drill them back out, clear the chips. I didn't detect any run out on this. Like I said, though, this is hard maple, so it works and turns really pretty easy. You start getting into some of the other exotic woods with more crazy grain in it, you might have more issues. But I didn't detect any drill bit wobble, anything like that. So I hope this will work for you. Combine this video with the first one that I did for you and try it. You're only out, just a couple of pennies. I think a lag bolt at Home Depot is like 5 or 6 cents a piece, so you can get a handful of them. And if the first one don't work, throw it away and try again. But I think you're going to be in business for at least getting your handles done. And you can use this for a lot of things as long as they don't get too long. And now that you've got it drilled, you put your live center back in. And on mine, because I have the one-way live center, I don't have enough of the point sticking out, and it's not nearly big enough to go into the hole and really do me much of any good. So as we talked earlier, you just take and you make yourself a temporary point to go on there. Screw that on, bring your tailstock in, advance it up into the blank, and you're good to go. Turn till your heart's content. So I think that's going to do it for this demo. I think we got a winner here. I got lucky on getting the lag bolt located. So all you can do is try it, Mike, and see how it works out for you. All right, have a good one.